Ew, what is that smell? It smells like a rotten corpse. Oh wait, that's Deku. Jeez man, Kaminari is right. Go take a bath, dude. Alright, welcome back. We have another manga chapter to review for you all lovely folks. As of now, chapter 320 of Macadamia manga has been released. I've already read the chapter and wow, couldn't believe it. Deku versus classmates. I always thought the moment would never be possible or even happen in the series. But here we are as Deku has been confronted by his class since the last chapter. And from what I gather in this chapter, I see that Deku has very good friends that are thankful to call him their friend after all they've been through during UA High. Now with that in mind, let's dive right in this chapter review on Deku's resistance towards his friends. So the chapter starts off with Tanya's stare towards his friend Deku, and here we have Bakugo saying to Deku that he's unlocked more quirks now, and proceeds to tell him he looks different and still a damn nerd. We then see this panel shot of Deku hunching like he's on his horse, with the black whip coming out of his body like extra limbs. That gives me sight of some Marvel Venom appearance vibes. Close up, Deku says thanks for coming to everyone as he tries to escape using his smoke screen. As this was happening, Bakugo tells everyone to not lose sight of him as Uraka sees that this smoke screen quirk came from the 6th user of One For All. And here we see Bakugo using a new move called Blast Landmines that clears the smoke. Once cleared, Bakugo tells Deku he didn't say anything before he left and said to him once Deku was able to do anything he tried. Bakugo implies that Deku sees everyone around him as an extra, which was a bit ironic coming from Bakugo, who had that mentality in the beginning of the series. After that, we see Koda send pigeons along Deku's way to send a message to Deku that he can come back to UA. As the principal asks him to come back, as Koda adds on to quit winning, Deku tries to escape by swinging his whip, but then Sero intercepts his black whip and says to Deku with a positive face, saying that black whip is scary. Better be careful. Deku then remembers the time he was training his black whip with Sero in the UA gym. While thinking back, we see 2 earphone jacks coming towards Deku, where we see Jiro who tries to find Deku in a wall, but he manages to escape. Seeing that, Jiro then tells Deku that she was pleased when he helped her organize her notes during the school festival, saying it wasn't much, but it made her happy. After that heartful comment, we see Ojo catch hold of Deku and tangle him with his tail. With them being close, Ojo reminds Deku about the sports festival where Deku fought at Shinsho and was frustrated for Ojo that Shinsho brainwashed him to use him during the sports festival. As so, Ojo tells Deku that he's never forgotten that moment and they can't overlook that Deku's tired and fighting alone. Deku then responds telling Ojo that if he's with Class 1A, he'll put them in danger as he remembers the events during the war arc where everyone he knew were badly injured. Just as Deku's releasing himself from Ojo's grip, he reveals that All For One is going to take him away, which is his reason of leaving UA. After being released in a split second, Tokuyami with Dark Shadow swoops in and crashes Deku into the building. From the outside, we see Sato rescuing Ojo and Jiro from falling. As he finds his balance, he yells out from outside to tell Deku to think about what Koda said to him, or else he won't let Deku borrow food coloring to make candy apples for Eri, which made my heart ache when Sato said that. Hearing what Sato said, Deku replies, Eri doesn't need to receive that from him specifically. As Deku has his back on the wall, a trap triggers by Momo Yaoyorozu's machine that will put Deku to sleep. Yaoyorozu tells Deku that their mission is to secure him safely, but that didn't stop Deku from releasing himself by force. Deku says to her to stop caring about him, as now Dark Shadow wraps around Deku as he yells out, stop following me. And then we see Kaminari bracing Deku, saying hell no. Kaminari speaks to Deku, telling him that he knows that One For All is important, but there's something else more important than that, and that is they're still friends. And then we see Soji wrapping around Deku and Kaminari while wearing insulation tape to avoid Kaminari's electricity. With all that wrapping, became a dark environment for Dark Shadow to set up Tokuyami to pull off a new move called Ragnarok Womb, which Tokuyami said that Deku was influenced by him to use Dark Shadow's offense into defense. Following that, Soji gives a piece of his mind, asking Deku if he only sees on his people to protect, and from within, Kaminari screams next to Deku's face to go take a bath. But inside his head, all Deku could think of is saying please as transitions to Deku manages to escape from being seriously apprehended. While leaving, Deku then pleads to his friends to stop as it shows his face with his hero mask torn off. Deku could tell that his friends are worried about him. Following up, he claims that his friends would know the upcoming threat of danger, but says that they're oblivious of it. After saying that, without his mask on, you can see in Deku's face has stress, a sadness written all over it, while saying he swears that he's fine. Despite being high in the air, Todoroki blocks Deku's exit by apprehending him with his infamous heaven-piercing ice wall. And we see Todoroki from a distance talks to Deku, asking him what's with his face. As he continues talking to him, that having to carry a burden doesn't allow for tears, but to have Deku to share that burden with everyone else to ease Deku's pressure. After saying that remark, we see Asi crawling on a building wall. As she shouts across to Deku that she won't let him go, she tells Deku he's important, however he reminds him when you're scared you're allowed to tremble, and during tough times it's okay to cry. Asi continues to say to Deku, remarking that's how you become a hero in the comics, and with the panel closing, it gets close to Asi's face, with her saying to Deku that they won't let him go alone, saying it with a determined face as the manga chapter ends there. For all these events, you could tell that the only one hurting seeing here is Deku as he desperately tries to stay away from his friends because of the dangers he's involved with himself, but perhaps he hasn't stepped in the shower for so long that he just wanted his friends to get in here to smell it, which was what Kaminari did. With that aside, he's putting himself through all that, and without doubt, if it weren't for that mask over his face, he'll be full of emotions right now. Also, while he's been avoiding capture, Deku hasn't really put his hands on any of them, although the same could go to Class 1A, but most of the time they use their moves to apprehend Deku. But if you ask me, the part that made my heart ache in this chapter, as well as Deku's probably, is when Sato said to him that he won't allow Deku to borrow his food coloring to make candy apples for Eri. Now towards the end, we see Todoroki and Asui are staying put for now that Deku is stuck inside the ice. Now would that be no step Deku? Honestly, I don't think so. And yeah, I mean Deku now is tired and outnumbered, but it will take more than words to convince Deku to come back through that thick skull of his. Also, as this chapter ends off with a cliffhanger, I believe Deku will use his last remaining power to free himself, and once he's freed, he'll probably face Todoroki, even Asui. But from what I believe regarding everyone who's taking action on capturing Deku, and those who we haven't seen yet, I predict that once Deku somehow frees himself and lands, I would say that one of Deku's close friends, turning Ida, will take his turn on persuading Deku to come back, whether it be through words or combat. With that small prediction, I'd like to thank y'all for watching up to here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please give this video a like, and if you want, consider subscribing to my channel for more macadamia manga reviews, and see y'all next time in the next video. Peace.